Hey, my name is Mark Harvey and I'm going to tell you in this video my prediction for the housing market. Now, why would I even be qualified to say such a thing? Well, look, when I left school, when I was 15 years old, I went straight into construction, the housing market, and worked on many products. And then what happened is, as I built my experience and I was doing more jobs, I wanted to speed up, my dad wanted to slow down. I set up my own business. And then just as we were starting to take off and build momentum, boom, the market crash came. So I have seen what happens when everything is booming and then when everything is crashing. I have been a part of that. I had a business and it went bam into the ground, nothing. And then I rebuilt businesses during that recession in the home improvement sector, and also then went to branch out into other sectors as well, but specifically property. Now I've seen that all of that and been involved and purchased many houses, and over the last few years been building a portfolio over £8 million, most of it using zero of my own money, working with business partners, joint ventures, investors to do that. So what's going to happen? I mean, we've seen the cycles. What's happening right now? What's happening right now is we're in the middle of another, they call it the second wave of lockdown. So we're in another wave of lockdown, and for some reason they're saying the property market is still open, which it is. So I think people are a lot more still freely moving about, and materials and builders are still doing what they need to do. Well, all our projects are still happening anyway. But what's going to happen in the future? Because this is the uncertainty of this is what may be holding you back or holding people back from not making the move. You know, some people that are in property, they're literally stalled. They've shut up shop, they're saying I'm waiting, there's no rush and all the rest of it. And I'm hearing that more and more and more. The way I see it is, you know, if I didn't take on the action or the doing of all of these properties from before, getting the offers, working the numbers out, pulling the team together, getting the projects done, then I wouldn't have the thousands of pounds of monthly income coming in from these properties. And also right now we're just working on a project that's going to be cash flowing well over £1,000, close to £1,500. It's going to be done in 6 to 8 weeks. So just think that every week that goes by where you're not making a move is kind of paralyzing, and it's chipping away and taking away, because, you know, from one project to another project to another project. I mean, I've interviewed many people who have procrastinated for a couple of years, and it's quite funny. We have a laugh and a joke about it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that funny. But it's the uncertainty that's creating that. So what's going to happen? So this is what I predict that's going to happen. Right now, everything is still turning. The wheels are still turning, but there is a wariness, and this is creating some uncertainty. We just made some, you know, huge profits on some properties that we've sold. And then what happened is everybody started bringing it to the market, because everybody's saying, yeah, okay, look, there's money to be made here. So now there's more properties on there, so more competition, which drives down the prices of selling such commercial buildings like HMOs and, you know, bigger properties. Now the housing market, like the residential housing market, is still booming. It's still going, and there's more going through than previously when I'm speaking and getting the data from the letting agent, the agents, the sales agents who are marketing these properties, and how many they have going through exchange and completion right now. And also what I'm going to see happen, and you're going to see it happen whether it's, you know, back end of this year going into next year, going into 2021, is that there will be a slowdown. There's going to, because we haven't seen the knock-on effect of this whole lockdown, pandemic, quarantine, rules, regulations, you know, people going into redundancies, shops being closed down, pubs, restaurants, all of that. We haven't seen the knock-on effect of that. You know, it takes time. There's like a big boulder been put in there, and it takes time for the ripple effect to take place. So when this happens, people are worried now, like, oh, even to buy residentials, I need to get 10. They just changed it to 20% deposit and all the rest of it. So this is what goes on. So there's going to be less people buying right now in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the savvy investors like us, we're still doing it. But in the grand scheme of things, there's going to be people buying less. That's going to happen eventually. Yeah, and then what's going to happen is, because there's less people wanting to purchase these properties, there is going to be less demand, which means the prices will go down. Whether it's a huge crash, it may be, it could be, you know, catastrophic. But at the end of the day, this then creates opportunity. Why does this create opportunity? I mean, people still need to live somewhere. So in terms of the demand for rental properties right now, it's through the roof. And even with all the rules, regulations, and worrying about quarantine and all of this stuff, things are still being filled. We're close to 100% occupancy. And I know many of the people who we're training and coaching, mentoring, they are too. So that's the rental side is going to be always going to be there. Now, when it comes to selling properties, if you're like leveraged quite high and you wanted to sell some flips that you've done, then that is a wary period. You're going to need to make sure that it is working. If you need to quickly switch the strategy to something else where it can produce rental income, so it doesn't cost you any money. Yeah, it might not be a great money earner, but as long as it's not costing you money, you can carry on going out there and keep doing the deals. Also, what's going to happen is eventually when this drops, then some new scheme of some type will come out to start helping people borrow more money and purchase properties, whether they call it getting on the first property ladder or buying, you know, the buy to help scheme, whatever scheme. There will be some scheme that either continues to operate or some new thing that's invented. And they will start doing the lower deposits again. Why do they do that? Because once that happens, they might say, okay, lower deposits on the dip of the market, which means as then this scheme takes place and the market starts to lift again, that equity is now started to get bigger as well. So all these people who are lending money to people so they can buy houses, they start to create more equity in the property as well. So we don't see that big damage that happened where people had massive mortgages and they needed to sell because they couldn't afford the repayments. They needed to sell, which means when they wanted to sell, they owed the bank more money than what they were receiving in the sale. So look, the way I see it is, with all that going on, and the way that it's like, it's just a bit, there's a bit of wave going on, yeah? There's a few waves, there's a bit of ups and downs. But as they say, you know, good captain of a ship is not created on calm waters. So you just got to learn how to ride these waves. You need to get the right training, the right coaching, the right knowledge, the right people around you. You need to know the business development, like the technical, like how to, step by step. You also need to know how to deal this and this. Yeah, the mindset and the emotions that come up as well. Because in times of uncertainty, fear sets in, it can cripple people and literally takes them out of the game. And then they're not prepared for any changes. Like a lot of people, they were not prepared for these changes. Fortunately for us, the strategy that we're still using, we've been using for 18 months before lockdown even started, was the one that really helped people thrive and take their journey and their income to the next level. So many, I mean, people have been made redundant, so they kind of were pushed, but like, boom, they've just gone straight into this property full time, using these strategies, adding value to society. So look, it's something that's not going away. You just need to know how to make money when the market's going up, down, sideways, you know, around the Ferris wheel or whatever it might turn out to be. What is your prediction? I want to hear from you. Put it in the comments. Let us hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube video and share it. Let other people know that, hey, look, there is a brighter future ahead. It is uncertain, but that doesn't mean stop. That doesn't mean fear. That doesn't mean give up. That actually means opportunity. But rather than just screaming, you know, oh, opportunity from the top of the hill, I'm giving you some context here. I'm giving you some information of how you can make sure you can go and do that. Check out all the resources we've got on our YouTube channel. Check out the resources we've got on our website. reallife-group.com, and I will see you next time. But before then, remember, never forget that you got to do the right thing for the right reason, because that's the only way you're going to discover your true potential.